episode of Retaliation is Perpetuation. It's not justice. Our mission of our show is plain and simple. We're looking for answers and solutions. We're trying to find ways to help stop these young brothers from killing each other. The title of our show, Retaliation is Perpetuation, conceived with the idea of the acronym RIP, R-I-P, Rest in Peace. We're not saying rest in peace. We want people, when you see RIP, we want you to think retaliation is perpetuation, because many of our murders are occurring because of retaliation. Retaliatory murders, maybe 75% of the murders that occur in our city. So we want to find ways to get these young brothers, or to get you young brothers, to stop doing it, to think before you act. We got a very special guest for our first show. His name is Brother John Thompson, and many of you have heard of John Thompson. He was incarcerated at Angola State Penitentiary for 18 years, 14 of those years in solitary confinement. On death row, framed for a murder he did not commit. I asked John to be our first guest because his story is so compelling, and I want him to be able to tell you what it's like to be on death row, knowing that your life's about to be taken by the state-sanctioned murder. And we want to just make it as plain and clear as you can that it's wrong, it's harmful for us all. So with that said, I want to open up and thank you, Brother JT, for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it is great, man. We've been trying to get this together for a while, and we finally got it now. And as I just said, we asked you to be the first guest because of your story. Would you just say a little bit more? Because I know I said some stuff about you already. Would you say a little more about yourself?
Well, my name is John Thompson. I spent 18 years of my life in prison for crimes I didn't commit. 14 of them, as you say, was on death row. I had 7 execution dates. It's been a remarkable return back to society, but it's been really more confusing because of the rational craziness of the killing that's going on. I think prison kind of did something to me. It kind of made me get very, very, very sensitive to others, to life, and in particular made me really understand, appreciate life.
Right.
And I believe to sit on that road and watch brothers be took off and executed, plays a totally different role to you, give you a different thing inside of you that make you try to cry out to the youngsters of our communities, what it is, how hard guys is in their families are on that road trying to figure out how could they live, or how could they get another chance to make amends of maybe the things that they didn't do or the things that they did. I'm not a judge in the characters, but I realized, I remember all of us always watching the news, like, man, I can't believe this, can't believe how sensitive some of the killings are, and at the same time, I guess reflecting over their life, it was that combination of two that really, really poisoned me when I come home. And when I mean poison me, it is to see how violent it really have continued to get amongst ourselves.
You said that you had 7 execution dates. Would you explain what it feels like to have a date that you're supposed to die?
Well, I don't know. That's kind of like, I believe I try to block that out of my mind.
Yes, sir.
Because, you watching, it's kind of hard because you sit up there and watch other men when they get execution, they be walked to their death.
Yes,
don't
sir.
Come back. You don't make that return trip. And so you try to gather as much information about it. But what happened is, the reality is, maybe 5 or 6 of them execution dates is not going to be a legitimate date.
Okay.
But you don't have that call. You don't make that call. what to me is one of the most, they was always one of the biggest craziest things that they was trying to determine what was a humane way to kill.
To kill somebody.
To kill somebody. So you went from the electric chair. At one point they was executing people, and when I went up there, that's what the choice of death was: execution by the state. And we was getting pictures of the victim of this execution. We was getting pictures of the body.
We was getting pictures of that?
We was getting pictures of the body and the bodies of the executioners, people that have been executed. The body was all burnt up, and we was getting this mental torture
right.
of what the reality.
When you say you're getting pictures, you mean you're visualizing it. You're in your mind. You weren't seeing physical pictures. You weren't seeing photographs. You were visualizing in your mind what it was like.
No, no, we got photographs.
Yeah, photographs.
On that road.
Oh, wow. So where did photos come from?
We don't know. We don't know. What happened was, a guy was executed, and he was burned from the head to his knees, his ankles, everything was, his body was just, his flesh was just burnt. And his parents were so outrageous that they wanted to do something about it, that they permitted the attorneys. What used to happen was you execute him. If the family is not there, you hurry and put him in the ground.
Okay.
You're get rid of it. Nobody get to see the remains.
Right.
This particular case, it had never been challenged, and it started being challenged that the electric chair was cruel and unusual punishment.
Right.
And so, because they never had no evidence to prove it, these particular cases, they went to this particular parents and said, "We need proof." And so we would love to have permission to have this body after they killed him.
Sure.
And that's Burl Cain couldn't stop it.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't want to say Burl Cain because I want to believe it was in his era. It might have was him.
And when you say Burl Cain, we're referring to the current warden
That Angola. I don't know was it doing one of this. I don't know if he made it there. But if it wasn't him, it was the warden right before him.
Okay.
That when this was revealed, they pursued to try to change to leak the ejection. Right away, they try to go to pass, but before these pictures make the news, before anything get out, they were trying to hurry up and change it. So, but the mental concept of seeing the pictures made it to us on death row.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing. We said the pictures made it to you on death row, and I know as a visitor to Angola and being on a mailing list, to Angola, I know they screen a lot of stuff, but I do know that Angola is a prison, and prison got a bunch of crooks in it, and crooks have ways of getting things out.
And I ain't gonna tell you the crooks was the guards.
The guards, the free men.
The free men, but to get back to that question and trying to answer, what I was trying to tell you is that, the mental torture of just actually seeing them pictures, the mental torture of actually getting to know a person, right, that he walk away and don't come back to this chair, that did more damage to any one of us than actually being killed, because once we kill, we don't know what else is going on,
Right.
But to get to execution date, and get into it, right, you get a date, you get a warrant, a death warrant, all right, and it usually be at least 35 days in advance. So say I can give you I can serve your execution warrant September the 1st. But I'm not going to be able to execute you till October the 5th.
Right.
I'm going to have to give you 35 days to go to the courts. So in them 35 days, you ticket. And as you're getting closer to that execution date, your family got to be prepared.
Sure.
Your children, your mother, your whoever living have to be prepared, because they need to know that we can secure your child.
Yes, sir.
And so, cruel and unusual punishment to who and to what? To your whole family, into you. And then you get all the way to maybe sometime 24 hours before that date. And then they say, we're not going to carry you today.
Right.
We're going to get you a stay.
That's cold-blooded, right? And I'm listening to what you're saying. We need to take a quick break, and we want to pick up right where you left off when they said, we're not going to kill you today. We're going to give you another date in the future. So with that said, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with John Thompson. I got 10 minutes, 4 seconds. Great job, man. Okay, when we come back, I'm gonna ask you about the walk.
Yeah, because I was like, really.
Ready? You ready?
Yes.
Okay, we're back with John Thompson, and we're going to go on, continue with the conversation we were having about living on death row, watching other people going to die on death row. And now I want to ask JT about the walk. When you're sitting in your cell, watching them walk, basically, dead man walking, remember that movie? You're watching this man walk on his way to his death. And again, I don't want to bring you through horror stories, but can you tell us a little bit about how the people act, how the man that is going to be executed acts, how the free man acts, how the other inmates act?
You know, it's like it's a weird spirit that run around during this period, especially depending on who the individual are. Mm-hmm. It's weird because I met some of the. You know, it's weird. You on that road where you're supposed to be around the most worst person in the world,
right?
And you get to see something totally different.
Sure.
You don't get to see what society deems as the most worst.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to see these guys on drugs or on medication that have them on alcohol that made them maybe do something that wasn't right.
Mm-hmm.
So you get to see a different individual. You get a chance to meet that individual free
mm-hmm.
of everything, of all these diseases.
Right.
Other than you might have the mental ill, the ones that really had mental issues.
Sure.
All right. And so when you take all that into value, some guys you've been living on the till with for 10 years, 15 years. What can you tell him, or what would you try to? He come out, this is what the routine is. You get within 3 days of that execution date,
mm-hmm.
they're going to take you to the death house, which is another camp. Mm-hmm. And before that happened, the free man would probably give him an hour or two on the hallway
right.
to say goodbye
yeah.
to everyone on the till. It's one of the most, I really, when I first experienced it, I was confused because I didn't really understand the concept of what he was doing. The guy come out, he goes to each cell, talk, and I guess reminisce with them.
Right.
Tell them to keep your head up and vice versa. Just like they was giving more encouragement to the guys in the cell than he was receiving, but I ain't never had the understanding of what I was supposed to be telling him. That
right.
physical die.
Yeah.
It just was very, 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 very overwhelming to me.
Mm-hmm.
But they had the few. What really threw me off, it wasn't so much of that walk. It was that walk the next 3 days after. Why he leave, when he leave, what the tear go through, that transformation, the frame of mind everybody in.
Right. Okay, let me back up on that. You're saying that 3 days prior to being executed, that victim gets to walk along death row and speak to all his brothers that's there on death row with him, and then he's taken away by the free man. And now you're saying that the difficult task now is for the other inmates on death row, just knowing that their comrade is never going to come back, and the awkward feeling that the guys on the tier suffered, right?
Yes, it's a possibility. That's the crazy part about it. It was the unknown. It was like we would like to pray, and all of us, the ones who believe in God, pray that He do come back. That God have mercy on him and his family because of the pain and the suffering that we are sure that they are going through at that given moment in them grieving hours. Them is. Think about it. Your mother know that they're getting ready to kill her child.
Yes,
think about that. That's a crazy concept for anybody to bear. That it ain't happened,
mm-hmm.
but it's getting ready to happen.
Right.
That is deep, man. That is so deep and it's so cruel. to a mother that didn't have nothing to do with none of this, or a child that didn't have nothing to do with none of this.
These are the innocent victims.
These are the innocent victims, and created by the state for the sake of justice.
They call it justice,
So
and we say it's retaliation also. Now that you say that, let's elaborate on that for a minute. The families, and again, the purpose is, you telling us your story, and the purpose for you telling us your story is because we want you young brothers to hear it. We want you to realize what's being said here. We want you to realize what's happening when you get out there in a split second, how you change not only your own lives, but the lives of your families, the victim families. Look, there's a whole industry built around you doing stupid stuff. You know, if you took the Angola State Penitentiary out of St. Francisville, that little city would die because they depend on you being there as inmates. If you go on Tulane and Broad and shut down the courthouse in the parish prison, all of the bail bondsmen and lawyers and Burger King, they close down because it's an industry built around you because they anticipate, in fact, they encourage you to do some dumb stuff. You know, we've got this mayor, the chief of police, who said that we have a culture of murder. And I want them to change that. I want them to stop saying it because murder is no more our culture than pedophilia is their culture. Murder is no more our culture than serial murderers or mass murderers is their culture. You know, they do these things when mostly this is white crime. And we don't say it's a white culture, so stop saying it's a black culture. So with that, JT, again, the families, man, we're talking about families, and I won't even ask you what your family went through because it's close, and I don't want to dig into you with any of this stuff. But we know that it's torture, man. It's torture, first of all, for the victim's family, but for the person who you killed. His family has to go through everything that they have to go through. And now your family, because you're going to get caught. You're going to get caught because people are turning you in for $2,000 for Crime Stoppers. You know, they're selling you out for $2,000. Your life is gone. You kill somebody behind ignorance, they're killing you for $2,000. So when you're caught, when you go there, what happens to your sons? Now, that's another thing we want to talk about now, that cycle. I notice families who have college degrees, teachers, professors, their children grow up to be teachers and professors. What do you think happens, or what would you say happens, JT, to children, sons whose fathers are in prison?
You know, it's kind of crazy because that's what you're in prison, and the biggest one was when I came back in '95. When I came back in '95, I was in OPP waiting on new trial. Mm-hmm. And so I met all these younger kids, this younger generation that was coming through the system, all on hard charges. And what was amazing was they bragging on how many women and how many children they had. And when you brag on how many women and how many children you had, but you're not gonna be there. You totally lost it. Totally don't understand the importance of being a man. What is a man? I think that's one of the biggest things. Sure. They don't know what being a man is. They think because they could use them the things they got in their pants, they think that is the key representing a man. But that's the least of a man do this. But when you hear this and you see all these young kids is having 30 years, 50 years, they got to accept 15 years on plea bargains because they did so much stupid stuff that the people have them so dead right. So they don't understand the damage that they did to the kids. Once the first thing they did allow the kid to be fatherless. The second thing, you allow their kid to be either a stepfather to come in that can do some things that you're going to be real sorry, and you're going to either want to come home and commit another crime. So you got nothing to be mad about but yourself, and you destroying your flesh and your blood. And maybe it's because it happened to you. because that's what happened to me. It was my father. It was his father. I come from three generations of my father was in prison when I was born. His father was in prison when he was born. You know, it goes down the level. I was home when my sons was born, but I was gone 18 years of their lives. That have a developing relationship between what is a father, what is a man, lost. And someone else had to teach my son how to be a man.
You know, and that's something, that's a hell of a statement. Someone else had to teach your son how to be a man. And when you call yourself a man because you can make a son, you're not a man if you're not there raising your son.
Exactly.
And again, it's not, in some cases, it's beyond your control, because we do have people who were falsely incarcerated, as JT was. We're going to take another break. And I'm going to say that we're going to take another break right now, and we'll be right back. Thank you.
Okay, make sure we stick
Yeah,
to
when
that
you
subject.
did that, I didn't know if it was time.
That's okay,
I couldn't see the glare in it.
Okay, just want you to come back, want you to recap a lot more on the retaliation and perpetuation, as much as you can, focus in on that. 3, 2.
Okay, we're back with John Thompson from Resurrection After Exoneration. That's something else we have to speak on, JT. Retaliation is perpetuation. That's the big focus. Why do young black males kill other young black males? We find that retaliation. In most cases, you know, the city said dumb stuff. And I was at a meeting at Gallia Hall a couple of weeks ago, and they made a big deal about this amazing statistic they found. We found that 75% of the murder victims knew the murderers. That's common sense. You don't walk around and shoot strangers. You shoot people you know. You kill people that you have beef with. So that's what I mean when I say they're doing things that they're not really trying. As far as I'm concerned, this establishment, the powers that be, are doing things. They're going through the motions. They're not really trying to eliminate this problem. They've got something going on now. Mitchell Andrews talking about save our son. His son is saved. Mitch ain't worrying about his son. And he's really not worrying about your sons. You know, they're going through motions, and we're not going to sit here and let them run this game on us. We want the young brothers to realize when you take a black life, you've played into their hands. When you take a black life, you've done what they want you to do. You've gotten at least 2 black men off the streets. The one you kill and yourself. You know? So it's, let me ask you this, JT, on retaliation. Did you find that to be true? A lot of the guys, victims, were people they knew and retaliatory?
Yes, well, you know, it's kind of crazy because, you know, I was totally affected by this with my son, one of my son's stepsons. You know, right after Katrina, from 2006 to the present, even down to the last 5 kids. Remember all the 5 kids that got killed in the car? Yeah. Right. You know, so from Katrina to that point, from Josephine in Ferret to Josephine in Oretha Casa Haley Boulevard, from they had at least maybe 12 murders up in these 4-block span of blocks, and it's all was dealing with retaliation. It was all dealing with them warring against another group of individuals. The other group of individuals coming in and gun them down, and they'll go over there and I guess do the same. It was a retaliation thing that everybody that was getting killed was innocent children that didn't have nothing to do with the actual incidents.
So when you say that, it's like I kill you, your brother killed me, my brother killed your brother, and so on, and just.
And what's sad about it all is, though, right now, you know, your district attorney was bragging about he just not got a few of these little kids to plead guilty, and they caught him up with this Jim Levitt thing. It's about racketeering and gun. They got him for everything else except murder. But that's what they arrested him for. And this is kind of like crazy because this was like maybe about 30 murders all together between these kids and all these families getting hurt and killed. Man, that really got to us.
Okay, JT, let's go on a different piece right now because we're running out of time. I want to talk about your organization, and we probably don't have a lot of time. We don't have a lot of time to talk about it. But Resurrection After Exoneration, I know you started that when you got out and when you saw the need for some type of support system for people who've been exonerated, people who've been wrongfully incarcerated and been exonerated. And you also have a book, Killing Time. I think it's fantastic. You know what I'm saying is, I'm not gonna lie to the audience. I haven't read the book yet, but I intend to, and I've heard that it's a great book. So we've got about 30 seconds left, JT. You have anything you want to say to close us out?
You know, the real thing about life is we got to learn how to respect each other and give each other our space, and give each other our chance to make mistakes in life. All of us are gonna make mistakes. Killing is not the answer. We need to wake up and understand that we the only one that lose in this game. Respect. Try loving. Try respecting each other. Just for a day. Can we go without all of this killing? Can we say, I'm not going to kill my brother because he stepped on my feet today? I'm going to turn my head. I'm going to turn my cheek. At least that's a man.
Give him a pass. You know, I want to thank you for joining us, and we'll be back soon with another episode of Retaliation is Perpetuation. It's not justice. So we're right on it, bro. Right, 26, 25 seconds. And everything.
So any part y'all want to go back and do, just holler.